Next Monday morning, right? Yep, 8 o'clock. Your time. Yep. What's in 2 o'clock? School district or? Oh, wow. Okay. All right. It is 9 a.m. and we are going to call the July 5th, 2017 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Randy Hanfeld, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ladies and gentlemen, 56 men 241 years ago signed that Declaration of Independence. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. 241 years, happy birthday, America. It's only fitting that we salute our flag and our country, so please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vote for sing the national anthem.
All right. Oral communication. Is there anyone that would like to speak on an item that is not on the printed agenda? Seeing no one, will the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Minutes of the meeting held June 20th, 2017, ordering special assessments against various parcels within unincorporated Tuolumne County to be collected in the same manner as ordinary real property taxes for unpaid administrative penalties and abatement costs related to code compliance cases. Approving fiscal year 2017 through 2018 agreement with the California Department of Social Services for adoption services.
Would anyone like to pull an item? Is there any public comment? All right, I'll bring it back for an action.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the consent calendar.
I have a motion by Supervisor Gray, a second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Will the clerk please read item 4?
Consideration of adopting a resolution continuing the local state of emergency as required by the California Emergency Service Act, Article 14, Section 8630C, due to drought conditions.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ethan Billigmeyer, Tuolumne County Office of Emergency Services. Happy we're all made it back after the little weird interruption there in the middle of the week. Hope everyone had a good 4th. So just want to make this really brief. We did update your board last meeting. We have submitted the grant application for the water continuation program. Mike McConnell was awarded the contract to continue doing the delivery services for the potable water. I sent out about 140 letters to the residents. As of this date, I've received 102 of those back. I have 15 to follow up with. 12 of them are now on using their wells again, and 2 of them would like to keep the tank. 3 of them have decided they would not like to keep the tank. The other few I need to follow up on and find out what they decide to do with that. So we are seeing people come off the program, which is good. I've been speaking with our environmental health director, Mr. Rob Koslevy, and we're going to start going out and testing the wells for the flow rates to see if we can pull off some more people. So we'll continue to move that along, and residents, I will be reaching out to residents next week to start scheduling them to come in, and we'll go over the new program requirements and make sure that they understand that they're going to need to start showing some more initiatives on figuring out what they're going to do once the program ends on March 31st. So with that, I can answer any questions that your board may have.
Any questions? Is there any public comment? All right, I'll bring it back to the board.
Madam Chairman, I move to adopt a resolution continuing the local state of emergency as required by California Emergency Service Act, Article 14, Section 863C, due to drought conditions.
I have a motion by Supervisor Rotifer, a second by Supervisor Hanfeld. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Will the clerk please read item 5?
Consideration of adopting a resolution continuing the local state of emergency as required by the California Emergency Services Act, Article 14, Section 8630C, due to pervasive tree mortality.
Good morning. Ethan Billigmeyer, Tuolumne County Office of Emergency Services. We are continuing to move along very nicely with our tree removal projects. The Merrill Road project has been completed, so they're just removing the final logs that have been felled on that road. We're going to be starting on the Freddie Road. I believe we're calling it Freddie Road South, I think. That's the entrance right there before Pine Mountain Lake. So we're going to, all those trees have been marked. There was a 1038K that we were waiting on from a previous tree falling contractor out there. We've gotten that worked out, so we know which trees we're going to be taking. So we'll be starting to remove trees on that project very soon. The CAL FIRE SRA grant projects, we're going to be doing, the tree marking is going to be starting in the Sawmill Flat area as well as the Brentwood Park Lake area. We just had to wait for the new contracts for the fiscal year for the tree markers to get signed, and then we can go ahead and start having them mark trees. So we're really excited to start expending some of that SRA money that we got. We worked really hard on those grants, and so we're really excited to start seeing trees get removed on that. Just as kind of an aside very quickly, if anybody's interested, what we're hearing this year is that the mortality rate for the trees is not quite what we were seeing last summer. I think that our wet winter and our cold winter helped that quite a bit. As the temperatures are increasing, though, they have seen tree die-off start to increase a little bit more. But right now, they're not reporting that the levels of tree mortality are what they were last summer at this time. So that's a good sign, and we'll see. Maybe we'll keep our fingers crossed that we have another good winter, and that might continue to help us. So there's in the staff report, there's more detail on the completed projects. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything on what's going on out there.
Supervisor Gray.
Yeah, I do see a lot of logs down that PG&E is taking down. Do we have any idea when they're going to come back in and take those out?
So it sounds like, in speaking with PG&E, they were having a little bit of an issue with their tree removal contracts. They've since got that up and running. They've said that in the next couple of months, they should be back into all the areas that they had to kind of skip over, and they should be removing that. We're in communication with them quite a bit, excuse me, because there are so many logs down, and there are so many that they have the R on to remove. So if you see that spray painted on any of the logs, they are spray painting an R on them. Those are ones that they're coming back to get.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Roediger.
Yeah, have we seen any significant tree mortality in the oak population?
Yeah, actually, I was just contacted this morning by Ed Hogue saying that he's seeing a lot of dead oaks on county property that he'd like us to go out there and take a look at for removal. One in particular by Mark Twain Cabin on Jackass Hill there. So we're going to have Mr. Albrecht go out there and take a look at that one. So yeah. Okay. The drought, from what I understand, the oaks are really it's the drought that's really hitting them as opposed to an insect. It's just lack of water, or the lack of water that we had for the 5 years previous in the drought.
Okay, and Mr. York can probably answer this one, but we also have some trees in the Columbia Historic State Park that are actually on our property. One came down the other night. Fortunately, it was at night and no one was there, but we have a pretty high traffic rate in there, and those trees are on our property because it's on the road. So you might want to talk to Duke about that and see. That's going to be a political issue that the residents aren't going to want us to take those trees down, but they're a public safety hazard.
Yeah.
And it's not directly related to the bark beetle. That's a years-old issue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Supervisor Hanfeld.
Yeah, Ethan, question for you, and then a couple of comments.
Yeah.
One is we agreed to help people with that program. Are we getting any acceptance of that? Acceptance, where we help people, low-income people, et cetera, that $5,000 a property?
Yeah, so that's the plan going forward, is we'll do up to $5,000.
started that?
No, not yet. We're getting ready to do the marking in that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to tell everybody that in the last round of the governor's, very late in the game, 11th hour, last round of the governor's budget thing, working through RCRC and the governor's office, Tree Mortality Task Force, we were successful in getting additional money put into the governor's budget for tree mortality, and I think that's a good thing. And so hopefully we'll be successful in the next round because those will be grants just like these were.
Yep.
And be able to help more of our people take care of things. And but that's one of the values of RCRC. I just want to add that to the comment. They've done a lot of good things. They also were successful in killing the SB 1066.
I saw that email this morning.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that. Or AB 1066. It was going to require prevailing wage for these jobs, and
Right.
we got that amended to where that isn't going to happen, and that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
we're going to get more things done. So anyway, I thought we ought to include that in the conversation because I think it's
Excellent.
important.
Definitely.
Duke, did you want to respond or just work with Ethan afterwards?
As Supervisor Rodefer commented, what we are seeing, I received at least 2 calls over this last weekend and the holiday about oak trees dropping. And what's surprising about the oak trees is it is drought related. And what you get is this root fungus on these trees. They have no support. They pump that heavy water to the top of the tree, and then the tree drops. And we're seeing quite a bit of it. And there's no forewarning. It's not like you see a dead pine tree and, oh, that could come down. You have no clue on these oak trees, so it's very deceptive. Also, you mentioned about the clearing. We are receiving grant applications through the Fire Safe Council, Jerry Tannhauser and others, to do clearing on not only county-maintained roads, Old Oak Ranch, but also the non-county maintained portion of Old Oak Ranch, and I know that's a particular area of concern for Supervisor Hanvelt and for the others because of the need for a backdoor access out of the Cedar Ridge country. So we are seeing quite a bit of these oak trees going down, and it is very deceptive. And people look at them and say, "Well, why are you cutting down a live tree?" And it's because lots of times there's no support underneath it, and they are drought related.
I was paying attention back there. I wasn't just sitting there. David Gonzalez here, CRA Director. I am following up with our road crews, and as you know, we have finally turned the corner with some possible revenue this next fiscal year or next calendar year. And we'll be allocating some resources to our road system. My concern with these trees is not necessarily the large cut and the fall that's left there. It's the debris that's left. It's what causes our roads to fail. And if you drive down the road and look, I'm not sure how much of that they're going to be picking up, but we have a major problem when this first rain hits. It's going to be extremely difficult to manage what's going to happen to culverts. What undermines a road is water infiltration, whether it be direct, indirect, culverts plugged, that type of thing. Is why we lost a lot of our roads. And so we're going to be encouraging these companies to go finish the cleanup. It's not just the brush. It's not just the logs. It's the debris, the bark. I drove through Twainhart this morning on the way in, and there's piles of it. When that hits the culverts, and it will plug them. And then we're going to have the same issue we've had before. So just a heads up to you folks as you're talking with those representatives from those agencies that Ethan and everybody is trying to work with. Their job isn't finished till they finish the job. So we'll be encouraging them to go and help with that. But our road crews are going to be working feverishly trying to get that done before our first rainfall. We have enough roads that are right on that edge. We don't need to help them any worse and have more problems like we have right now with the emergency road work. So just a heads up for you and the board members. So anyway.
Thank you. Ethan, I do have a question,
Yeah.
and this might be for the Tree Mortality Task Force.
Okay.
The governor's proclamation, so this was tree mortality, pervasive tree mortality due to drought.
Mm-hmm.
Does it preclude work being done on oaks that have died? And
I think it does include that.
It
Yeah,
does,
yeah.
perfect.
If the
Sorry.
arborist or the forester deems
it's
that
within
tree
those-
is dying due to drought conditions,
Very good.
then yeah, those
Good
trees
job.
are included. And just to real quick, just to mention Mr. Gonzalez's concerns, I did attend a CAL FIRE meeting on the upcoming SRA grants that are going to be coming available. They basically put on a workshop to help people become more successful in applying for those grants. And one of the discussions that was brought up is with the fire safe councils, and the county was putting in some money, applying for some grants to help do some of that debris cleanup that may not get done by the contractors that are out there, so we can try to avoid any of the culverts being plugged up. So we're gonna do our best to try to make sure that things are cleaned up well out there.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any public comment? Seeing none? Yes.
Just one general comment to that.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say I appreciate the fact that our staff is aware of some of the potential that's out there for impacts to our roadways related to tree mortality. Digging in on that a little bit further, I'm curious, have we tracked, I know we have with our pavement management system, we know what the road condition was before the tree mortality. Can we look at this after and see, because not only is it a matter of debris and drainage issues when the weather comes again, but there's been a lot of heavy equipment, and looking and knowing what that is and maybe quantifying that at some point when we get farther out, I think could be helpful to us.
Yeah.
And, there's different players that are involved, whether it be PG&E or the state through their grants and things like that. But I think it does have a direct connection to this emergency. And maybe, I don't know if there's, an avenue for claims for that or whatever it may be. But I think we want to know that and be prepared to pursue that to some degree.
Yeah.
So just a little more of an encouragement to keep thinking
Absolutely.
along those lines.
And PG&E has been very good. If we notice any damages to our roads that have been caused by them or their cranes or anything, we can submit claims to them and they'll take care of it. Yeah.
All right. I asked for public comment, so I'm bringing it back for an action.
I'll move in favor of adopting the resolution containing the local state of emergency for pervasive tree mortality.
I have a motion by Supervisor Hanfeld, a second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Will the clerk please read item 6?
Consideration of approving correspondence with the State Water Resources Control Board regarding the 2014 integrated report and proposed 303D impaired water bodies list.
All right. Pursuant to Government Code Section 87-100, I am recusing myself from this item based on a conflict of interest due to my economic interest in the Eagle Meadow allotment as a real property interest. Supervisor Hanfeld will be chairing this item.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Okay. We'll look at staff
Good
report.
morning, supervisors. Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I am here this morning for kind of a continued discussion on the proposed changes to the 2014, and actually it is 2016 as well, integrated report for impaired water bodies and the 303D list specifically. In October, your board had some discussion about this proposed list, and there were at the time 6 creeks that were being considered as listed as impaired in the Stanislaus National Forest. So your board had the discussion, sent comments requesting they not list those creeks as impaired, mainly because the data that was used was not only old data from an August 2010 solicitation period, but also because there was newer data that contradicted the previous. So because of the data contradiction and the old data that maybe wasn't necessarily reflective of the current status of the water bodies or the creeks in the forest, your board sent comments to the Central Valley Board, Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board, requesting that those creeks not be listed. In December, despite your board's efforts, they chose to recommend 5 out of the 6 creeks be listed, and that recommendation went to the state board. So now we are at the state Water Quality Control Board's process. They will consider these creeks and their pollutant or contamination status, and then they will make recommendations to the Environmental Protection Agency for their ultimate listing to be included in the integrated report. They have actually chosen to, or their staff has recommended 4 out of the 5 creeks for listing, and that is primarily due to fecal coliform or E. coli. And again, the discussion remains the same. So we discussed this at the Natural Resource Committee meeting. Supervisor Hanbelt and I met with Dr. Tate, who's from the UC Cooperative Extension. They are the ones who came up with the kind of contradictory data from 2013, and they have also conducted another study in 2016 that also that replicates their 2013 data and again stands in contradictory to the previous data. So having said all of that, the recommendation before you is to approve correspondence to the State Water Resources Control Board requesting that they not list these 4 creeks because there is data that, 2 sets of data that says that there is no contamination or contamination that requires listing of this kind. And then you can see in the staff memo that there are some other additional requests that your board would could make, and that's what's in the draft correspondence for your recommendation or for your approval.
Supervisor Gray.
Yeah, Liz, for the public's benefit, can you explain what happens if they're listed?
Absolutely, yeah. So the water bodies are prioritized. The Central Valley region and the state have both prioritized these water bodies as on a low priority list. So what that means is the what's called a TMDL, a total maximum daily load, which is kind of the regulation for how the water body is used. Those would be developed, but because it's a low priority, those would not be developed for quite some time. So in the meantime, the creeks are primarily used for grazing activities and for recreation purposes, and those uses could continue. Yeah. So
we have some time.
Exactly. And the request is that because there's this contradictory data, the request in the draft correspondence is that they use that data to consider what's called an off-cycle revision so that we wouldn't have to wait until 2020 to look at, if these creeks are listed, that we wouldn't have to wait until 2020 to revise the list, but that they could be revised or removed from the list sooner if they do indeed get listed.
Thank you.
Any other board comments, questions? I'll just add a little bit to that. The data on which the Central Valley is making that determination is not only old data, but it has questionable scientific pedigree, and that bothers me. The source of the so-called E. coli is not determined, and there's just all sorts of issues that are not adequately answered in this, and the Dr. Tate and LaRoche have done serious data. Both Liz and I went on a field tour where we actually they showed us how they take data, how they select sites, all this kind of thing, in a very disciplined scientific manner, and that isn't apparent in the other data. So I think this letter is really important, but we'll take public comment at this time. Is there any public comment? Okay, well, coming back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the correspondence to State Water Resources Control Board regarding the 2014 integrated report and proposed 303D impaired water bodies list.
Second.
Any further comment, questions? I'll ask the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. By the way, the motion was by Gray, second by Rotifer. With that, we'll move on. We'll ask Supervisor Brennan to come back. I don't think she needs to recuse herself any longer.
Will the clerk please read item 7?
Consideration of approving construction commencement date for the Tuolumne County Jail project.
Great.
Oh.
So Maureen Frank, Deputy County Administrator. Before you, for your consideration today, is a date in which we want to commence or start the county jail project. As you know, the county was successful in soliciting and receiving $33 million in state grants. And since that time, staff has been working on the plans and specifications for this project. At this time, we are done with the plans, and we are going through the state final review, and we anticipate by the end of July that all of those approvals will be done, and we will be authorized by the state of California to go out to bid in July. Anytime after that, the county is eligible to go out to bid. It's up to us when we feel it's right to start the project. If your board chooses today to continue with the schedule we have and go out to bid, we would be looking at the following schedule. We would go out to bid in sometime in early August. Bids would be due back in mid-September. The intent to award would be issued in early October. Then the state would then take all of our bids that we received, review them, and then authorize the county to go ahead and proceed, and that would be done probably early November. Shortly after that, they take a couple of days, we would issue the official notice to proceed for the project, and then construction would commence 10 days after that, putting it roughly the end of November, in which we would start the process. The total construction schedule for this project is 18 months to complete. Staff is before you today because we're asking for you to consider if we start this project right away, or is it your pleasure to wait until spring to start? This concern in starting the project is really several-fold in regards to several factors. And what we did is we convened the jail construction group. We held a meeting on Wednesday, June 21st, to discuss the various merits in proceeding with the jail project late this fall. Of concern were the following items. The grubbing and grading and site preparation of 6 acres. That's huge. Just to put it in perspective, individually, both the juvenile project and the transit road access project are both roughly 2 acres. So the jail site is significantly larger. The high potential of encountering a significant amount of rock, and we've experienced that throughout the project, the Law and Justice Center campus, and basically anywhere in the county we're going to experience rock. The jail site is challenging due to the slopes of the property. It has, of all the properties that we have on the Law and Justice Center campus, it has the most slopes of any of them. There's the State Water Resource Board and the sweeping concerns. And then rain delays, extension of contracts, and compensable days for the contractor. So those were the concerns that the group as a whole discussed. As noted in your memo, the biggest concern is rain delays. Starting the project this late in the construction season, there were some concerns about starting it that late as far as the grubbing and grading of it. No one knows. There's no crystal ball out there. No matter how much NOAA and weather climate people do, we know that it's not an exact science. They never get it right. So it could be coming up to the driest fall we've ever had, winter we've ever had, or it could be one of the rainiest. We just don't know. What we have done to try to compensate for that, if we wanted to proceed, is we have changed and made stronger the language that staff has put into the specifications manual for this project in regards to rain compensable, non-compensable days. So, for example, in the juvenile project, we had 20 days of non-compensable rain days that the contractor just had to eat, if you will. In the transit project, we had 6. In this project, the way it's worded and what's put into the manual right now is for the 18-month construction cycle, we have 90 days of non-compensable time for rain delays. Okay. In regards to the State Water Board and sweeping, county staff has really gone over that language and feels that we have very strong language in there that we are ensuring that any responsibility, all the requirements are to be borne by the contractor and not the county. And so we feel very good about the language we have in the agreement in regards to who's responsible for sweepy violations. There are also some fiscal concerns about starting the project, later in the springtime. We had in our jail meeting, we had Tom Russell, who is here in the audience, from Moss Construction Management, and he was saying to us that there are a lot of state projects, especially in regards to criminal justice projects, that will be coming along this spring, and that will be competing. If we wait till spring, that we will be competing with those type of projects. We might not get as competitive bids as we would if we continued on the course and doing it this November. He also has some concerns regarding escalation. So the later you delay a project, there's always cost escalation in that, meaning prices of materials, hardware, things like that, prices continue to go up. So the more you delay the project, those materials are going to cost more. Another reason to proceed now versus wait for later on is the current conditions of your county jail. As we know, it's deteriorating. County facility staff is spending a great amount of time over there trying to do the best they can to keep that facility operational and safe, both for the staff and for the inmates. If you wanted to look at operational costs, there are some facts and figures here. Currently, the daily cost per inmate is $135 per inmate. For the new jail, it is projected to be $101. Okay, so that's just a straight figure. Now, don't get me wrong, because this is something that I don't want our public to get confused in that. I'm not saying it's going to cost us, it's going to be cheaper to cost the new jail versus the old jail. The new jail, as we know, is 140, we're capped at 147 total population. The new jail will be 230 maximum amount of people there. So as you see here, I put together the overall operational costs are anticipated to increase at least by $1,187,000 for the first fiscal year that it's open in 2019-2020. Now, what staff needs to do, and there's been some concerns, and we want to make sure we're very clear with the public, just like the juvenile facility. We're here again to say that we acknowledge that there's going to be, staff is acknowledging there's going to be increased costs in operations. That's just it. We need to move to a new jail for so many reasons, and we've discussed this significantly. But staff will come back at a later date. Now that we know the design, now that we have a contract with CFMG, which is our medical component, and now that we know pretty much the date in which we're going to be operating or opening the facility, and come back and refine the numbers and bring that back to your board. One thing that your board is aware of, but maybe the public isn't, we do a multi-year, as you guys know, a multi-year projection. This project, just like the juvenile project, is put into and calculated into the multi-year projections. So with all that, those reasons, the jail committee is recommending continuing on with the schedule we have and going out to bid this fall instead of waiting for this spring. In the audience is the sheriff, the jail commander, and the Tom Russell, who's from Moss Construction Management, and we're all here to answer any questions you may have.
Supervisor Rutherford.
Yeah, I was the only board member at the jail committee meeting. So I'll just comment on my observations from that meeting. There's risk either way, starting in the fall or waiting until the spring. But the consensus of the group, and I think it really was a consensus of the group, that we might as well get started as soon as we can, accept the risks that are going to come with potential bad weather. There's also the potential that we could have another drought winter as well. So, it's a 50-50 shot. The risks associated with, one, guaranteeing that the project will be delayed by probably 5 months if you wait till the spring to start, and which may not happen if you start in the fall, and the additional time in the old jail that would be associated with that, plus the unknown risks associated with what will happen to the economy and all of that stuff that would affect the ultimate cost of building the jail. We're dealing with more knowns the earlier we start than we are waiting until later. So it just didn't make sense to us to delay, recognizing that certainly if we have a bad winter, the project's going to get hammered a little bit on the front end, but it just didn't make sense to us to delay until the spring to start. So I guess that's my summary of how the meeting went.
Are there any questions? Supervisor Royce?
Yeah. Generally, I agree, and I'm okay with the schedule you have proposed, but I would like to add a little bit of time on the front end for the board to be able to review the bid docs and specs. I think we need more compensable days. I think the way that the rock is managed in the contract and the terms needs to be not left open-ended. Right. There's a number of things I want to review and look at before it goes out. I know we've had some issues with the juvenile project, and I hope we've learned lessons to help mitigate those risks and potentially eliminate those liabilities for the county on the back end of this deal. I also want to make sure we have substantial contingencies and allowances included so that we're not having to come back. And I also would like to discuss with staff processes for change orders to make sure that we're not being blindsided on the back end with issues that we're not aware of, or maybe we're aware of but we're not fully up to speed on the degree of which those changes are impacting our bottom line. So with that, like I said, I want that opportunity. I want that time. I want to be able to have those bid docs in hard form and have at least a couple weeks to review them, an opportunity to comment and propose changes, and have adequate time to allow for any modifications to be included.
So
Okay, I'm going to go to Supervisor.
I just have a question about his comment, if I can. Is that something that can be done ahead of time and not delay the start?
We can't, if you want to look and review the proposals that are submitted, then...
Not the proposals.
The bid docs themselves.
The bid docs, absolutely. As far as the bid
Okay.
docs, we can have
Thank you.
that done ahead of time and will not change the schedule. The proposals, once we get the proposals back, that would, if we wanted more time in reviewing the proposals, then that would augment the schedule.
Are the bid docs, is there a final draft of those right now that you have, or at least
Not
No,
yet.
it will take, currently county council and the COS staff is reviewing them. We're going over it with the architect and construction management next week. So I would say probably in about 3 weeks.
That probably. But if we're looking to get this on the board's agenda on August 1st,
that's not
Right.
going to work?
then
So-
there's not going to be enough time for.
So,
I need 2 weeks.
Okay. So
We'll
staff will
modify it.
arrange for that.
Yeah.
Staff will arrange
And
for
I
you
want
to
to
have
make
it.
sure you have time, once we have those and we come back, that you have time to implement changes, not just, I don't want to be rushed to where we have to put it out.
No, because the last thing staff wants to do is we want to have as few addendum as possible to make this a clean bid going out the gate. So staff understands that.
Okay. How much time are we going to give bidders? I think it's in here, but just,
I believe it's at least 5 weeks.
okay.
Supervisor Gray?
Yes, this schedule is pretty much predicated on whether or not the state will do their job. How much faith do we have in that happening?
Oh, my gosh.
It's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question.
More faith than we
We're gonna
did
do our
2
best.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
there's no
What
guarantees.
was encouraging to me was on Monday I received a call from CDCR asking when we could execute the ground lease with the county, and that is one of their final steps. So they're looking at doing that on August 1st at your board meeting. I will bring the ground lease for you to consider and to execute. So there is some faith, but they have disappointed us in the past.
Just being real.
Yep.
Citing the obvious. All right. Supervisor Rutherford.
Would it be appropriate to put together an ad hoc committee to do those bid docs?
So we want to hear from the public first.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on this? All right, seeing none, then I'm going to bring it back. And in answer first to Supervisor Rutherford's question, I think it would be appropriate to have two supervisors working on that. Supervisor Hanfield, did you have a comment?
I have some comments. First of all, I attended the state fire marshal's meeting
Yeah.
at the request of the committee, and it seemed to me that the comments that were entertained there were pretty much of a minor nature. So there's a good chance that that'll come off. That's no guarantee, but it's just an observation. I might say that I was impressed with our architect. Anytime there's a question asked, an amount of paper drawings is, many inches tall. He just says, "Oh, it's back here on the back page." He knew exactly. I mean, everything was. These guys are on it, and so I think I'm impressed with their ability to deal with it. So I think that's minimal. One of the things I think we need to tell the public is this isn't the final commitment we make for the jail. This is just telling us to move forward with the schedule. There's a lot has to be done between time that a shovel goes in the ground. But I do want to emphasize the importance that we need the jail. The catch and release program I don't like. What I like even less is the conditions under which our deputies that work in the jail have to live. If you haven't visited the jail, I encourage you to visit the jail. I don't know how many people you could take, and not that you're going to get an overly large demand, but visiting the jail will make a believer out of you. Not only do you not want to be incarcerated there, but you don't want to work there, and I think you'll understand the nature of the need, and I think that's important. So, in the comments.
Supervisor Rutherford?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the construction commencement, the schedule to commence construction on the new jail as it's currently configured with an additional request that the chair appoint an ad hoc committee to review the bid docs.
I'm okay with that. I just wanted to look, so we're looking, realistically, you're looking at middle of November notice to proceed, probably December by the time they actually start anything. Just for the board and the staff's sake, we can get a contractor in place, we can get a bid, if we have these bid docs and leave a little bit of room to where we don't have to issue a notice to proceed in November, we can award the contract and we can delay a start for a couple months or something if we structure it appropriately as well. And that eliminates our risk for escalation because we get a contract locked in. So as long as we have time that allows for that, that is an option. There, I mean,
We discussed that, and it was felt that because of the lack of assurance for the contractor, that if we proposed to award the contract and then knowing that we were not going to have them execute the contract until 3 months later or 4 months later, that they would pad their contract and the bids would be higher. We did discuss that.
So I think what would be important here, because Supervisor Royce has brought up a few points with these bid docs, and so we do have a motion on the floor, and I would be looking for a second, but I in the formation of the ad hoc committee, would like to see Supervisor Royce and Supervisor Rotifer on that, because Supervisor Rotifer brings the history of the conversations that have been happening.
does this schedule allow enough time for the ad hoc? That's the only kind of other concern I had.
It will
What's
be
your
tight.
schedule like?
But staff will ensure, staff is hearing what you're saying, and we will make sure that we will do it. It might mean that it slips a week or two, but I think this is important. I mean, this is a very large project. We want to make sure it's right, and so to make sure it's right starts from the foundation, starts from the beginning, and that's the plans and the specifications. So let's get it right from the get-go.
I would second the motion.
It will be
Staff.
Supervisor Rotifer, Supervisor Royce, and staff.
Well, staff is not on the committee. The committee is just these
The
two.
two,
Yeah.
but staff would be available to support. All right. So I have
I
a
appreciate that. Thank you.
motion from Supervisor Rotifer,
No, I appreciate it.
a second from Supervisor Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, thank you. And I'm sure it'll be a priority from a time perspective with the ad hoc committee. Will the clerk please read item 8?
Consideration of approving the recruitment plan for the position of the health officer.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ann Connolly, Human Services Agency Director. On June 21st, 2017, Dr. Liza Ortiz has resigned her position as County Health Officer effective August 31st. California counties are required under the Health and Safety Code to have a health officer that is appointed by the Board of Supervisors. So given that this is a board-appointed position, the purpose of this item is to seek your board's approval in the recruitment plan for the next public health officer. So this recruitment process is proposed to involve the following. Human resources staff would take the lead in identifying and coordinating with an executive search recruiting firm to reach the broadest pool of candidates for the county health officer position, given that this is a challenging position to recruit for. The estimated cost would be between $5,000 and $7,000, with the cost to be fully borne by the public health budget, no county general fund. County staff, including the county administrator and the human resources manager, will retain the sole responsibility for screening the applications to ensure the minimum qualifications are met for the position. What we're proposing is that there be an initial screening where the HR manager and county administrator would conduct that screening based upon the applications received and whether candidates meet the minimum qualifications for the job. Then there would be panel interviews, and we're looking at, similar to what we've done in other recruitment plans, a panel of technical experts, and this would potentially be another health officer from a neighboring county, myself, county council, and potentially a past health officer. So they would screen for technical competence of the candidate. And the panel, too, would be more in other words, who they work with in the community and within the county. So the representatives, for example, from Adventist Health Sonora, Sheriff's Office, Tuolumne County Office of Education, and Tuolumne County Office of Emergency Services would also conduct interviews to assess fit. So after these screening interviews would be completed, the board would receive a summary of the entire screening process and would interview all top candidates in closed session, and after receiving recommendation from the county administrator, select their top candidate. Pursuant to board direction, the county administrator will extend a tentative offer of employment to the board's top candidate that is conditioned upon the successful completion of background and reference checks, physical examination, and final board approval. Upon acceptance of the tentative job offer and all background checks, physical examination, an item will be placed on the Board of Supervisors' agenda to formally appoint the candidate. Again, we're looking at a pretty aggressive timeline since Dr. Ortiz has stated that she will be leaving August 31st. We will be bringing a subsequent agenda item to your board regarding the appointment of an interim health officer because we are required to have one. So we will have something prior to her departure. And on the timeline, should your board approve the process that has been outlined today, we would be looking to start the recruitment the middle of July, try to get applications within the next 4 to 5 weeks, have panel interviews scheduled the beginning of September, and then have your board looking at some top candidates by potentially second meeting in September, first meeting in October, and then completing all of the background checks, and then hopefully board taking action at the end of October. Again, this is a very aggressive timeline. I'm hoping we can meet that. If we can't, we definitely will have a contingency plan for an interim health officer. So again, fiscally, the cost would be just for the executive search recruiting firm, which is fully borne by the public health budget. So it is respectfully recommended that your board approve the recruitment plan for the position of county health officer. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Supervisor Gray?
When we recruited Liza, do you recall how many applicants we had for that position?
We only had 2.
So the pool out there is relatively limited, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And just to remind your board, this is a 0.8 full-time equivalent, so 32 hours a week. But the health officer is required to be on call, 24/7 in the event of, any type of health emergencies, public health emergencies.
What's the salary?
The salary, of course, I don't have that in my memo, but I think it's about $162,000, somewhere around there. I'm sorry, I'm going from memory, but I just was on a 2-week vacation, so usually I have numbers at the top of my head.
Is that comparable with surrounding counties?
What was that?
Do you feel like that's comparable with surrounding counties?
This actually was one of the job classifications. We did a comparison when Dr. Stolp left, beginning of 2015, and this was also looked at in the COF salary and compensation report, and it really was spot on. I mean, I think it's in a pretty, good position considering the number of hours.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there any public comment? All right, I'll bring it back.
I'll move on staff recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Rutherford and a second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, will the clerk please read item 9?
Reports.
All right. I will start to my far left with County Council.
Thank you. In between, since your last board meeting, I assisted the Central Sierra Economic Development District in finding a alternate provider of administrative services. They had been using the Tuolumne County Economic Development Authority, and through an RFP process, they selected Motherlode Job Training. So as of July 1st, Motherlode Job Training will be taking on the administrative services for Central Sierra Economic Development District. Our office has been working on developing additional templates for leases and also updating our contract templates based on lessons learned and some additional recent case law and statutory authority. Finally, I just want to mention on Monday, July 10th, the Marijuana Working Group meeting. Paul Smith and Arthur Wyleen from RCRC will be coming to give a presentation on the recently passed marijuana trailer bill. This is SB 94. And so this is just a wonderful opportunity to get a good overview of the trailer bill combines the Adult Use of Marijuana Act and MRCURSA, which is the medical side, and they have come up with the mouthful acronym MAUCRSA. It's MAUCRSA. I mean, at a certain point, just shrink it down. We need an acronym for the acronym at this point. But that presentation will be both Paul and Arthur are extraordinarily knowledgeable. So it's a great opportunity for our marijuana working group to get a foundation, and the rest of the board is welcome to attend as observers only under the Brown Act. And also, I would encourage members of the public who are interested in this topic to come and learn about what's the current state of the law. So thank you.
When is that again?
That is, July 10th here in the boardroom, starting at 8 a.m. Thank you.
Supervisor Rotifer.
Yeah, with your indulgence, I'm going to go back since we didn't do reports the last time, and I have a couple things. ATCA, on the 9th, I participated in the ATCA's Internal Affairs Subcommittee meeting, where we helped define the process by which we are going to evaluate the performance of our new executive director, and then with Supervisor Hanbelt. We both participated in the ATCA board meeting. On the 14th, I did participate in the marijuana working group as a substitute for Supervisor Royce, who couldn't make it. But it has become clear to me that our original scope of work for that working group has been overcome by events by the MAUCRSA. Is that right? So we need to rethink that, and I think staff needs to come back to us with a proposal on that. I also participated in an NACO Energy, Environment, and Land Use Policy Committee conference call that day, where we talked about several of the upcoming policies that we're going to be refining at the National Convention later this month. On the 16th, Supervisor Hanbelt, myself, and TUD, along with staff, she left, hosted ACWA, the Association of California Water Agencies Executive Director Tim Quinn. We talked a little bit about it at the last meeting, but that was a very important visit and tour, and I think it was very, very successful. We highlighted in that visit, along with our water advisor, water consultant, we highlighted the importance of the Stanislaus National Forest, the fact that that footprint has not burned in multiple decades, that it is overgrown, and that it ought to be at least the second priority, if not the first priority, forest for some significant thinning projects. And our efforts, we highlighted with Mr. Quinn, our efforts on at the federal level, getting some legislation, Western states legislation. We're hoping a 20-year program with up to 20 projects in the Western states, a minimum of 3 of which would be in California, and hopefully we would be one of those 3. That would be a national forest scale project, include forest thinning and also meadow restoration projects. Mr. Quinn was extremely supportive, very appreciative of the tour. We also, we were co-hosts with TUD. We put the thing together, but TUD helped us out. We actually went up to the helipad there by Little Sweden that overlooks both watersheds, the Tuolumne watershed and the Stanislaus watershed. He got an eyeful up there. He's very impressed by that stop, and we also went to Lions Dam. So, and we talked TUD talked to them about their project that they're doing right now to try and thin out the dead trees and everything that are around the flume in their system. On the 17th and 18th, I was very happy to participate in well, I didn't participate. I would have been happy to participate in the Father's Day fly-in. I did go, but unfortunately I didn't fly in it. And then on the 21st, as we talked about, we did have the jail construction meeting. That was a very good meeting. And I want to thank our contractors, both the management contractors, but also the architects. Very professional, very knowledgeable, very helpful in coming up with a recommendation for this board. And in that afternoon, I participated in the Tuolumne Stanislaus Integrated Regional Water Management Agency JPA meeting. On the 22nd, we had a Water Policy Committee meeting where we talked about the item that was before you today. On the 23rd, I did participate, or I was at the Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce luau, where it would not get, the only reason I report on this is because it wouldn't get mentioned anywhere else, but Supervisor Handvelt did win the Male Hula Dancer Award. So that was, and I have pictures, by the way. It is on film, so anybody that's, actually very short videos, yes. Yeah, on the 24th, a really great event that was spontaneous a year ago and now has become an annual event. Honoring the first responders. It was a little dinner out in the livestock area of the fairgrounds. Great event. A lot of first responders there. They got to eat for free, and there were a lot of games for kids and everything. A really super event. On the 30th, I don't normally mention these things, but it was a great presentation. I went to SRT's Joseph and his, I'm not going to get the title right, amazing Technicolor code or whatever. That thing is, if you're feeling down in the mouth or whatever, and you want to just get upbeat and a heartbeat, go see that thing. And then on the second, really a moving opportunity. I attended the Elks breakfast honoring World War II vets. I was honored to be their guest speaker. 45 World War II vets, and two, well, actually, I think there were four that couldn't make it. The youngest person in that crowd was 89, and there's not going to be very many more of those. So a wonderful opportunity. My wife got to meet a gentleman that was in the same Marine division that her father was in and was in all the landings that he participated in. So it was really cool. And then on the 4th, obviously yesterday, I was the one of 3 parade judges for the Columbia 4th of July celebration, which is always a wild and quirky and wonderful affair. So that's my report.
Yes, I want to report that I am up right now. I want to thank fellow supervisors, well-wishers, family, friends that helped me through this. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, a few additions to Supervisor Rotifer's presentation. I did win the hula contest, but it was a little rigged. He refused to join the contest, and
somebody needed to be the photographer.
So it was by default. It was not a big deal. And he went to SRT because it was suggested to him by another supervisor that was a great performance. So anyway, a couple of
Yes.
I'm a season pass holder. I was going anyway.
Anyway, a couple of things that I think have happened in the county that need comment. Would have reported on some of these last time. One is I went to a graduation of apprentices from the building industry. There was, I want to say, 17 or 19. I forget the number.
21, wasn't it? Wasn't there 21?
I don't know. There may have been.
Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, I was impressed. And what wasn't said there, I would like to say here is we have young people who are taking charge of their lives. They're going out and finding a skill, getting the education, and going after it. And I was very impressed by that. And the very next night, we talk about volunteer firefighters all the time. I went to the graduation for volunteer firefighters out at Stryker Court, and I was very impressed with that too. We have these young people going after getting their certificate and doing things for the county in a much needed position. You see the signs that Tuolumne County needs firefighters. These people answer the call. Big deal. It is a big deal. Comment about Carlin reported on the Central Sierra Economic Development District because there's been a little controversy over that selection. I wanted to make a comment that we only had 2 applicants for that job. One of them obviously read the request for proposal and responded to it. The other one did not. And so the selection was from a group of high-energy people who obviously have a good experience record and are anxious to take over that job. I want to also comment that met with Sierra Energy a couple of times since the last time we reported out. They won a grant from the state, and they're going to build a biomass energy generator down near Chinese Camp, not far from the mill, not far from Ultra Power. It's a small unit, demonstrate a technology called Fast Ox, and kind of exciting that they're bringing that. The reason I want to mention this is this technology can also be used as a trash burner.
And that's a gasifier?
Yeah. It gasifies the material and does things. So that's a really big deal. Supervisor Rutherford mentioned things, and I am working with him and the Water Committee to see if we can't have a discussion at NACO and the Public Lands Use Committee, which I serve on, for modification of the Westerman bill, and that's to get the watershed projects that he suggested put in there. Final thing I want to mention, which I think is really important, is a couple years ago there was an incident in Amador County that associated with ATCA and the County of Amador. It was reported out last week, I think it was last week, in the grand jury report. Both Supervisor Rutherford and I felt that there was something going on there. It smelled really bad, and when you read the grand jury report, it appears to be very bad in terms of unethical, perhaps illegal behavior on the part of individuals in the county and in that were former members of the ATCA board. We get confirmation of how badly we felt about that, and so we will be pursuing adjustments. But I think it's an interesting report to read, and our county ought to take it to heart and make sure those kinds of things do not happen in our county. So with that, I'll end my report. Thank you.
Real quickly, just wanted to let the board know where staff is going in regards to NDRC and the Community Resiliency Center. So staff had out a RFP for consulting services, and we also had an RFQ out for architectural services. For the RFP for consulting services, it was sent out to over 40 people. Unfortunately, we only had one person apply. And it's a well-known consultant to us. It's Terry Cox Consulting. The review committee went over that, and so we're asking the state for a sole source waiver for that application, and once we receive that from the state, it'll be brought before your board for consideration. The other one is the RFQ for architectural services. Quite a different story. Again, solicited as many people as we could, far and wide, and we received 12 proposals. The review and ranking committee is going through them this afternoon, and we'll try to narrow it down. But because this is so important, again, the foundation, getting the right person for us to work with the public, and then as first phase, and then also the second phase is designing it. Staff will be holding interviews of the top few, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 firms. Will be doing that in the next couple of weeks. And again, that agreement will be coming before your board probably either August 1st or your second meeting in August for your review and approval. That's about it.
All right, I have does the clerk have anything to report? All right, I've got just a couple of items. I want to go back to the marijuana working group and make certain that the public is aware that the regularly scheduled monthly meetings have been moved. They were being held on the second Wednesday. They will now be held on the second Monday of the month, beginning at 8 a.m. in the board chambers here, and we have scheduled a block of time for up to 4 hours so that we can get through the agenda. And I would like to work with the facilitator to make sure that there are a few folks that are notified of those meetings, mainly the City Council and a couple of other organizations, the Farm Bureau, that have reached out. So I will, Quincy, maybe I can chat with you afterwards. Let's see. I had the privilege on June 18th of attending the Forestry Institute for Teachers and speaking and giving the county's perspective on forest health. That's a really great event, and part of the funds that are appropriated come from the RAC grant. They had 35 teachers, I believe, from all over the state of California. It's a very comprehensive program where a number of speakers are invited. I know industry was there, CSERC was there, the forest representatives of the forestry were there, CAL FIRE. Again, it's a week-long activity, very well attended, and I think the teachers go away with the ability to draw some of their own conclusions based on what they see actually out on the landscape. So that was a great panel to participate on. And lastly, on the 19th, I went to the Area 12 Advisory Council meeting, which I don't normally attend, as I attend the board meetings, which are on a different day. But that was really interesting to see what all the advisory councils are doing, and we had a great report out on Meals on Wheels. And I just would like to highlight that they are going to be having their largest fundraiser of the year on August 26th. And this is an opportunity. They serve over 490 seniors by delivering meals on a daily basis. But it's more than the meals they deliver, because it really is the social connection that's also very important. A lot of these seniors are confined to their homes, and this may be one of the few interactions that they have during the day. So that organization does a tremendous amount of work for our seniors, and if you have the opportunity and want to go to that event, it's a fantastic event, and you can get tickets at the Tuolumne County Senior Center. With that, we will take a recess until our 10:30 appointment. I know.
Really?
Power.
We don't need a microphone.
Oh, he was in this morning.
Was it?
Yep. Yeah. Okay, you talk to him. Okay, it is 10:30, and we are going to reconvene our meeting. Will the clerk please read our 10:30 appointment?
This is a public hearing to consider Gurney Special Ordinance amending Section 1706.020 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code.
right, staff report.
Good morning, Chairwoman Brennan and supervisors. My name is Quincy Yaley, Assistant Director at Tuolumne County CRA. The project before you today is our rezone RZ 17-003. We'd like to put these up here in the beginning of our presentation to let you know that the project was evaluated in the context of the vision, the mission, and the values of Tuolumne County, which are here before you. The project today is a zone change, and which is required if the owner desires a land use that is not allowed under the existing zoning on the property. And the zone change is also needed to approve the tentative parcel map, which was submitted which will bring the parcel into compliance with the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code. Currently, the proposed tentative map does not match the zoning on the property. The project description is an ordinance for zone change 17-003 to rezone a 1.72 acre parcel, assessor's parcel number 0903004 from RE1MX, which is residential estate, 1 acre minimum with a mobile home exclusion combining district, to R1MX, single family residential, mobile home exclusion combining. The project is located at 18698 First Avenue in Tuolumne, and the general plan land use designation is low density residential. Here's a map of the project site. You can see it's located off First Avenue near Carter Street in Tuolumne. Another map here of the project site. The zone change before you today is only for 0903004. The adjoining assessor's parcel number is already zoned R1MX. We have 2 assessor's parcel numbers, but 1 legal property. We also were in receipt of an application T17-003 to divide the project site you just previously saw into 3 parcels. Parcel A, 0.45 acres, Parcel B, 0.45 acres, and Parcel C, 0.89 acres. And as I described earlier, the land division application created an inconsistency with the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code because a portion of the project requires a 1 acre minimum based on the zoning. And so that portion of the project was inconsistent with the land division. And the zone change is necessary to bring the parcels into conformity with the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code. And also to let you know that T17-003 will be reviewed for approval at a future survey hearing, not today before you. This is a map of the proposed land division, parcels A, B, and C. During our processing of our application, 0 comments were received either in favor or in opposition to the proposed project. And again, here are the missions of the Tuolumne County, and you can see how the project was evaluated in response to each of those bullet points. The findings that need to be made are listed in your agenda report on pages 1 and 2 and are also listed here on the screen. We find that the project is consistent with the general plan. The zone change is in accordance with the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code. The uses are permitted under the proposed zoning district, and the project qualified for a categorical exemption or an exemption based on prior environmental review for the project. The options today here are to either approve the project or to deny the project, and also to let you know that on June 7th of 2017, the Tuolumne County Planning Commission recommended approval of the proposed zone change. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions, Supervisor Rutherford?
Yeah, it just has nothing to do with my decision, but why do we have situations where there are multiple parcels and 1 legal described property? And why don't we start doing things to align those?
Well, it's possible that the different zonings were done in accordance with the assessor's parcel number rather than the legal parcel. It was done in 1985, so I don't know why the 2 different APNs were zoned differently.
I know, but when you have, why wouldn't we consolidate under 1 APN, I guess?
Well, there's tax tax parcels are different than
Okay.
legal descriptions. So there may be some reasons in the assessors, property change that may have happened separately. This is a common practice specifically in counties necessarily. Cities are a little bit, but more so in counties. Very common on larger parcels to have that. As far as the zoning goes, we always try to align it with the legal descriptions, but many times they'll follow the parcel lines, as Quincy alluded to, which creates this situation where you have one
Yeah, I understand.
legal parcel with two zoning. So
Just-
we do our best when we catch them, but there are a lot of these probably out throughout our county, and
There's a
we'll
lot.
try to clean them up. There
I
would be
understand that
something-
they're legacy things, but when we're doing something like this, why aren't we consolidating under one APN?
That would be assessors. When it's done, the parcel map, the second step, the surveyor's office, they are going to combine it into one.
Okay,
That
thank
would
you.
take care of it, but they may not. There may be assessor's reasons that could
Okay.
cause that to be two different tax parcel IDs, because those
Okay.
are parcel IDs.
Because of district boundaries and things like that too, potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Right, at this time, I will open the public hearing, 10:36. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor?
Hi, my name's John Furiani. I'm here representing the owner, and if you guys have any questions, but, you know, I think just to follow up is Bev had told me she was working on a way of expediting this type of a small project, because this got kind of expensive and that's what I heard it was anyway.
We are working on something to help out, but we wouldn't necessarily be able to shortcut the public hearings that's required by state law.
Okay, but it was like, well, part of it was to make it less expensive for the person to bring it in, because this was just a tax line that caused the assessor's tax line that caused the two different zonings. But boundary line adjustments, when you have the two different, the one that's I'm hoping to get sooner is you have two different zonings. That's the one that really be nice to clean that up.
You're looking at like a
And,
fee waiver or
yeah,
something?
John, I'd remind us all that since this is a public hearing, I
Oh,
want to
sorry.
stick to
Okay.
the topic.
Okay. Got it. Any other questions? Nope. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Is there anyone who would like to speak neutrally?
Thank you, Quincy. I thought you did a nice job. And I love and adore John Furiani, but I don't really care one way or the other. But at the Planning Commission, I understood this was just kind of cleaning up lines that were kind of confusing. So, as I recall, though, the Planning Commission was not happy because they had to meet to discuss this one item, so I had to pay for that. And I think the meeting was 9 minutes long. And they had some concerns about why this was, if this was just kind of a cleanup zoning change, why it had to come before the Planning Commission. So I don't know if that's getting discussed.
It's state law requires it.
Right. Anyone else that would like to speak neutrally? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 10:39 and bring it back to the board.
Okay, this is District 3. I'll be happy to make a motion to approve the zone change RZ 17-003 based on findings A through D.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Royce, a second by Supervisor Rotifer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.